Hey, so we are moving on to ACT reading core skills, and we will have some of the basically the top 10 most important overall skills on the reading section. And there are separate 10 skills on strategies for specific types of reading questions, but that's actually in a way less important than these overall core skills, but they both matter. And here we go. So the first most important skill is annotating. And there are a lot of ways to do this. And for some students, they actually don't have to, but I'm going to talk about that. But for most students, some kind of annotation is really, really important. Okay. The reason why is because you have to stop and make sure you understood what you just read, right? You can't just passively run through a passage. You will not remember enough. You will not understand enough. You'll go to the question and you'll be like, what? And you don't want that to happen. So just some changes in the way you read and some of the habits will make a huge difference. So just before we jump into this, if on a practice ACT, you're already getting like a 27 or a 28 on reading sections, you might not need to annotate in quite the same way. Okay. For students like that, it might make more sense to underline maybe one or two of the most important phrases or sentences in the paragraph. Okay. Not more than one or two of the most important phrases or sentences, because otherwise, if you underline everything, that defeats the purpose. What you want is to get to the end of the paragraph and ask yourself, all right, what do I need to focus on there? What's the most important thing? And what that does is sort of lock in your understanding. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about with annotation as well. Okay. But if you're a pretty good reader, and that's evidenced by getting like a 27 or a 28, then you might not have to write anything. Underlining in the same sort of way might work. Okay. If you're not, and you space out a lot and you lose track of things, then what you should do is stop at the end of every paragraph and write 3 to 5 words that summarize the gist of the paragraph. Okay. That's the most important thing. 3 to 5 words, even one or two words. That's fine. Okay. Um, they don't have to be the perfect thing, right? The point isn't to go back and read your annotations. You probably won't. The point is in the writing of those 3 to 5 words itself, you lock in what you just read. And you're actually just making sure that you actually understood it. All right. So that way you can't get through the whole passage spaced out and have no idea what you just read. All right. If you try to write the annotations and you're like, well, I have no idea, then that's the point. Go back and reread that paragraph and make sure you understood it. Okay. And we'll talk about what happens if you're not exactly sure what it was. Sometimes you can reread it and still be like, I don't know what they're saying here. Not about being spaced out or anything. Okay. And we'll talk about that. So, and basically as a lead in, focus on what you know and use that. All right. You don't have to know everything they said to get most of the questions correct. You just have to know the key points. So don't get bogged down in the details. That is really, really important. Do not get bogged down in the details. All right. Annotation or underlining for many students makes a huge difference. Without annotating, you can read a passage and get to the questions and really feel like you have no idea what you just read, and then you're hosed. When you start annotating, that becomes almost impossible. You have a much clearer idea of the structure and the meaning of the passage, and that makes a huge difference. Okay. For some students, if you're just an amazing reader, if you're getting like a 31, 32, 33 on the reading section, then you don't even need to annotate, and you might not need to underline. Okay. It might be just fair to you, okay, for you to just say at the end of the paragraph, all right, that was about X or Y, whatever. Okay. And just take a second. All right. You're kind of probably doing something like that already if you have that highest score. You might need to experiment with this a little bit. The ACT reading section is fast paced, so you might only be able to write 1 or 2 words. Okay. Or maybe you just have to underline because the annotation isn't working. Okay. Maybe you can get a 36 without annotating. Okay. Try it around, try different things, see what works for you in some way, shape, or form. Some kind of stop and check and figure out what did I just read and lock it in will is necessary for you to really crush it.